I love this new Zoom feature. So welcome everybody to Travel Tuesday. My name is Sheila Gallant-Halloran. I run my own travel agency as Lush Life Travel, as an independent affiliate of Vision Travel. This is continuation of a series. I think we've been doing it all year of Travel Tuesdays. So we've had some wonderful travel partners, both suppliers and destination management companies and tourist boards come on to help us dream of travel. Today we have Oddný from Visit Iceland, who is going to share with us a general overview about Iceland. We'll have her do a presentation, and I will minimize the faces for folks as she's presenting. But then when her presentation's over, you'll have the opportunity to come back on screen and you can ask her questions directly. So with that, Oddný, thank you so much for your time and coming. Just before I turn the screen over to you, I just want to mention last week I hosted Big Five Tours, Ashish Sangharajka, and we talked all about Morocco. So if you weren't on the call and you would like a copy of that recording, please let me know. The week prior to that, we had Visit Finland. And next week we have a travel trivia again, and then we'll get into perhaps a little summer recess. But today it's all about Iceland, which is a very hot destination, as you folks know. So let me turn it over to Oddný. Please take it away.
Thank you. Well, hello everybody. First of all, let's share a screen so you can see what I'm doing and seeing as well. So, hold on. There you go. Okay. So, yes, hi everybody, and thank you for taking the time to be with me and us here today. So my name is Oddný Arnarsdóttir, and maybe I should just explain the name a bit. To begin with, Arnarsdóttir, because we don't have family names in Iceland, so we take the name, the first name of our fathers, usually, and we add either dóttir or son behind it, and that is how you will know if you're speaking to a woman or a man. So my father's name is Arnar, and I'm his daughter. So there you go, Arnarsdóttir. And I am the manager for North America at Visit Iceland. Long story short, Visit Iceland, we're a bit different from some other visit organizations. We're the main marketing office for Iceland, but we also handle the travel trade and relations with our markets, and my market then being North America, which is maybe why I'm here today with you. Well, I always like to start with this sentence that Iceland is for those who travel the world to experience something different and to come back with stories to tell and secrets to share. I think this, says a bit what Iceland is all about. We want you to come here and experience everything, that we treasure so dearly, those of us who live in Iceland, and we think that you actually do have a lot of stories to tell once you return back home. So today I'm going to go over the destination. And I'll just, it's more just pictures, because I think pictures often say more than 1,000 words. I'll say also 1,000 words probably, and you might have to cut me off at one point. Feel free. And then, of course, any questions you might have at the end, I'm more than happy to address them and hope I can answer all of them. Well, in the last 10 years, more or less, we've become a very established and well-known destination. Before 2010, Iceland wasn't a very known country or a destination. Then we had the famous volcanic eruption in 2010 in Eyjafjallajökull, which made the news for many reasons, and one of them being the name of the volcano, which nobody could pronounce. And we are, many people don't know that we are actually very well located. And being actually, in the middle between North America and Europe, we have become also a hub for people traveling between the two continents.
Excuse me, Oddný, just briefly, someone messaged that they lost your audio. I can hear you okay. If anyone else is having issues, please let me know. But otherwise, may I suggest you leave and come back in again, because I'm hearing the audio okay. Sorry, please go ahead.
No, yeah, fine. No, please let me know if there's, I might have to then change something on my side. Yes, so, and yeah, as I said, we're very well located, and we have a number of international airlines that actually maintain regular scheduled flights, direct flights to Iceland from North America. Our own airline, Iceland Air, flies, for example, directly out of Toronto, and it only takes about 6 hours. So it's almost just, like a domestic flight, just in the other direction. Now, we say Iceland is a country of extreme geological contrasts. We are known as the land of fire and ice. And as you know, we are the home of some of the largest glaciers in Europe, but also some of the world's most active volcanoes. And that has shown itself first in 2010, and then a few in between, and then now another one, which is erupting at this very moment. Called Fagradalsfjall. So we didn't actually make the names easier in these 10 years. Now, the contrasts are also because, we have the long summer days, which, near 24 hours. And like now, my time is 9:10 in the evening, and it's light outside. And yesterday and today, it's the longest day of the year, and it will be 24 hours. The sun just touches the sea and then up again. So I keep telling my 3-year-old that yes, it is night. He does not believe me. And then, then we have the short winter days with only maybe a few hours of daylight. But then again, we have the dancing northern lights. And, so there are those contrasts. So the glacier and volcanoes, the 24 hours and the 4 hours and northern lights. Now, Iceland. So we're a fairly large island compared to many others. About 40,000 square miles. Population is about, well, I guess we've grown now, 360,000 people. So I have to update the numbers, or around between 8 and 9 inhabitants per square mile. So we do have a lot of space. We speak Icelandic. Our capital is Reykjavik, and that's where I am located. We use the currency krona, which is our own, and we have a rather mild climate, around 30 degrees Fahrenheit in January, and then around 52 in July. Remember, those are average. Usually on a daily basis here in Reykjavik, for example, now we have around 12 to 15 degrees, which I could never calculate to anything else than that Celsius. Now, I'm going to go over the regions with you a bit. We have 7 regions in Iceland, and I'm going to start with Reykjanes Peninsula, which is the region where you actually enter Iceland. But it's also a geothermal wonder, where actually lighthouses outnumber villages. And as I said, it hosts the international airport, Keflavik. And just a few minutes away from Keflavik is the world-renowned Blue Lagoon. So Reykjanes in itself is a destination in its own right. It has several high temperature geothermal areas, 3 of which have been harnessed to generate electricity. On the Reykjanes Peninsula, you can also find the junction between the European and American tectonic plate. And it's actually the only place where it's visible. So there is a bridge between the continents that you can actually pass over. Now it has been designated as a geopark, UNESCO geopark, the Reykjanes Peninsula. So which, besides being a landscape to admire and study, is also a veritable hotbed of recreational activities. So dramatic rugged landscape, volcanic craters, caves with lava fields, active volcano, geothermal waters and hot springs. And then, of course, you find restaurants, museums, churches, lighthouses, and festivals there. So that is the first region. If we move on, we'll reach the capital, Reykjavik. And this is where 2/3 of the population lives. Now, Reykjavik is a rather big or large city with few inhabitants as such, but it has everything one needs to enjoy, a city. The downtown of Reykjavik is, the nucleus of Iceland's culture and art scene. By the day, you have the cafe culture and, the lively hum of conversation throughout the year. And in the evening, people, start filling the streets and the excellent restaurants and bars and a very lively nightlife, especially during the 24-hour sunlight. But it's also a city of contrasts. It is both cosmopolitan and small town, vibrant and sophisticated. It's young at heart and yet full of history. We have many monuments that are both, new and old, that are worth a peek, including by the seafront and our new music and conference center, Harpa. And then you have the church that you can see here on the picture, Hallgrímskirkja. I love to go for a walk by the seaside and stop by this sculpture there, Sólfarið, which means the sun voyage. And now we just actually in April opened up a new lagoon in Reykjavik called the Sky Lagoon, which you can see in the center picture there above, which I absolutely recommend. And then there are endless museums, galleries, cafes, and swimming pools, geothermal hot swimming pools. So it's easy to go around it by foot or bike or everything, buses, cars, whatever you feel comfortable with. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold. So if I lose my voice, you'll just have to imagine what I'm talking about. Now, if we head to West Iceland, which is also a very geological diverse region, its natural wonders are nearly exhaustive sampling of all that Iceland actually has to offer, ranging from slumbering volcanoes and majestic waterfalls to a variety of both flora and wildlife. Every destination in the West is just 1 or 2 hours from the capital and accessible all year round. But there are also, of course, excellent options for overnight in the region. The West is where culture, nature, and history complement each other, creating a unique experience. And then, it consists of fjords, valleys, craters, glaciers, and volcanoes. One cannot talk about the West without mentioning the Snyder National Park. It's Iceland's only national park that reaches into the sea. And this is where the mystical volcano Snæfellsjökull glacier has inspired both artists and poets through the centuries, being one of the 7 greatest energy centers on Earth, actually. And Snæfellsjökull glacier is the second of Jules Verne's journey to the center of the Earth. The Snæfellsnes Peninsula is often also called Iceland in a nutshell. It's a 90-kilometer long peninsula and comprised of a world of diversity. There are, friendly towns and villages, spectacular mountains, birds nesting on cliffs, beaches of sun. Yeah, actually, everything. As I say, it is Iceland in miniature, really, where you can, almost find a little bit of everything. It has many things to enjoy. There you will find the only man-made ice cave in the world, called Into the Glacier, which is it's an ice tunnel located on the 2nd largest glacier in Iceland, called Langjökull Glacier, and you can actually then explore the glacier and see it from the inside. This is also in the west. You can find many places where they breed the Icelandic horse, which is actually known for its 5 gates, and one of them only exists with the Icelandic horse. And also the west is actually the cradle of the sagas, the Icelandic sagas of Iceland. So the west has a lot to offer, besides the beautiful waterfalls and geothermal pools and nature that is breathtaking, and caves so big that you think they will never end. So I suggest to spend some days in the west. Now the West Fjords is the least visited area of Iceland, and I cannot understand why, because I think it's one of Iceland's best kept secrets. But here you will experience more the peace and quiet. This is the area of slow travel. Isolation has preserved the region in relatively unspoiled wilderness. It is largely uninhabited, and it is a must-see for any serious explorer. Here you will find the bird cliff Látrabjarg on the west side of the Westfjords, which, apart from hosting nearly half of the world's population of some bird species, is also the westernmost point of Europe. And then on the picture you can see the waterfall Dynjandi, which is a set of waterfalls with height of 100 meters, which is a must-see and experience. They're quite accessible, and you can both fly there. There are 2 flights a day, but they also just opened up a new ring road too. So for the first time, it is accessible throughout the year. But there, as I say, there you will be and experience more kind of wilderness and peace and quiet, and the red sand beach, the bird cliffs, the natural hot pools that you have to look for a bit, majestic mountains, narrow fjords, and absolutely one of my favorite regions besides this one. So North Iceland, even though it has 28 towns, it has 36,000 inhabitants. The capital of the north is Akureyri, and it serves as the service center for the area. And from Akureyri, you can do day tours in all directions. In Akureyri, you will find everything one needs: restaurants, hotels, professional theater, international airport. This is actually where I am from, Akureyri, or the north, and it is, it's not easy to describe Akureyri or the north, in few sentences. But I will tell you this: in wintertime, the Northern Lights is something one needs to see. Then you travel through the fjords and between the mountains, down by the sea, to catch the auroras. So absolutely also a winter destination, but then again also a summer destination. And they have a small island called Grímsey, just outside of Akureyri, which is the only point where you can actually pass the 66 degrees north, or the Arctic Circle. North has some of the most beautiful waterfalls, and one of them is Dettifoss waterfall, which is the most powerful one in Europe. Now they just opened a new route called the Diamond Circle, which is a magnificent circuit of 250 kilometers in the northeast, and that includes some of the most stunning sites and spots for the unearthly landscapes that they show off in the north. There are 5 key destinations. So it's the waterfall Goðafoss, the unearthly blue and green landscapes of Lake Mývatn, which is a nature paradise, the uncontrollable white energy of Dettifoss, which I just mentioned, the crescent-shaped wonder of Ásbyrgi Canyon, and Húsavík, the buzzing whale-watching capital of Iceland. Sites and stay in the north, you can actually stay there for a few days and not see everything. Now, the east, Iceland. The coastal drive there is densely strewn with magnificent viewpoints, and it seems like a surprise is waiting for you each time you turn a corner. And everything there is instantly Instagrammable. And the picture of the canyon is a picture I took last summer. This is Stuðlagil Canyon, which actually is a new site because this was actually under water until recently, when they built a dam not far away, which meant less water in the river, and all of a sudden this wonderful canyon appeared. So I say, if it's only for that, I think it's still worthwhile going to the east, but it has so much more. So I absolutely recommend. But they, in the east, they also focus a bit on the tranquility. There's unlimited opportunities to interact with that dramatic nature, and it makes you forget about, the time constraints of everyday life and just enjoy the serenity that it offers.
Excuse me, Oddný, we've had a question. I'm not sure. Have you already identified the grass-covered building here in the bottom?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I will have to send that information a bit later. I can't remember exactly the name of it.
Oh, okay. I had a question from someone who's from Newfoundland, which is where I'm from, and we have the Viking settlements, of course, and it very much resembles.
This is a replica of the turf houses that we used to have, were a part of it, even though this is. It also has newer features to it, but I will send it after, and you can send it through for me.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah. Now, the East Iceland is actually the home of the reindeers, and this is the only place they can be found in Iceland, in this region. They won't leave it to any other region. If you remember the Walter Mitty movie, then many scenes in that movie were actually shot in the East. Now, they just, this is also a home to our lovely puffin, or one of the places where you can see the puffins. And it was my first time in the East last year that I spent a few days there, and I am planning to go again this summer because I think there's still so much more to see. And then they just opened this spa in the east called Vök, and this is in a lake, and these are floating pools actually, and there's natural hot water underneath these two pools, which they use, and this water is actually certified drinkable as well, so you can actually enjoy it also on the tea bar that they have. So I recommend that as well. If we move to the south, now the south is the home of some of the country's most visited attractions, and no wonder. But the south, stretches itself from, the east all the way to, 40 kilometers outside of the capital area. So it's a very, very big area, and endless things to see, endless things to do. And sometimes I feel when I'm driving the south, I feel like I'm moving from one beautiful painting to another. There's something very, very special about it. And well, it goes from, wonderful waterfalls great glaciers. You know, it has the Golden Circle route, which connects the Þingvellir National Park, Gullfoss waterfall, which you can see on the picture there, and geyser, our very own geyser. Then, of course, you know, the Reynisfjara black sand beach that you can see on the picture here, Vestrahorn, the mountains there on the picture, the Glacier Lagoon, the Diamond Beach. The list is endless. As I say, sometimes I just say, I think it's actually just easier if you just come and you know, I'll just take you around. It might be much easier. But the South is also very rich in history and culture. Events from the sagas are remembered in many ways along the coast. And there are several museums in the area that celebrate Icelandic customs and heritage. This is also almost in the center there is where the eruption happened in 2010 in Eyjafjallajökull. And Eyjafjallajökull Glacier can be seen most days, just while, you know, driving on the ring road. It can be seen from the road. And then there are the Westman Islands, which are islands just off the coast. There you go, my doorbell is ringing. Hold on, my husband has to get it. Hold on, sorry.
No problem. As you guys have gathered, Oddny's joining us from Reykjavik, and it's 4 hours later for her. So this is definitely family time. Thank you so much, and no problem at all.
This means I just don't have to put the kids to bed.
Well, I hope that's a little bit of a break for you. It's so crazy juggling family and work at this time, and it's 9:30 at night to you. So thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so as I say, yeah, I was just saying it would be maybe easier for you just to join me in Iceland, and I could maybe just take you around. But as I say, yeah, the South and the glacier, yeah, the Westman Islands, there you go, with the Westman Islands. That is also a place that I do recommend visiting. It's easy to get to with a ferry. You can even take a car on the ferry. It just takes about half an hour to get there. And there was an eruption there in 1973, which a volcano opened up almost in the center of the town. And there were 5,000 people living there. And they were all evacuated in one night. And amongst them was my husband, who was just 6 months at the time, and his family. Many did return, but other people decided not to return. But I definitely recommend visiting, but because they have actually dug out some of the houses from under the lava to show, you know, and they're still standing. So it's a natural wonder, the Westman Islands. So I definitely recommend that. Now, just to mention a bit, Iceland uses 100% renewable energy, both geothermal and hydro. And we are very proud because this, you know, this of course comes naturally being an island of volcanoes. It's an easy source for us, and we've learned to use it in many ways. And the geothermal water will power our electricity needs and heating our houses, our swimming pools and greenhouses, for example. And this is also a lovely product that comes from the geothermal sources that we have. And this is, you know, the pools or you know, geothermal swimming pools is a natural wonder, which is strongly related to the Icelandic culture. And we use, you know, the geothermal warm and hot water. Of course, the spa is a modern day invention, but enjoying the various health benefits of bathing in thermal baths is an Icelandic tradition dating back to the settlement. Since harnessing geothermal energy in Iceland, the tradition of public bathing has become deeply rooted in our culture, and locals of all ages and professions It doesn't matter if it's the president or my kids. We meet in the swimming pools in the evening. And if there's anywhere that you would experience a true local experience, that would be in the hot tub, either at between 6 and 7 in the morning or 6 and 7 in the evening. That is the time where all of us, doesn't matter if it's winter, summer, snowing, raining, or wind, we are there. And it was during these strange times during COVID. They had to close the swimming pools for a few weeks, I think it was, and you could really, really feel that this is what we were missing. That was our swimming pools. It was very difficult not to be able to go swimming.
Oh,
I didn't care about the rest of it.
Now we have a show, a TV star or movie star in North America. Zac Efron did the show Down to Earth, and I think his first episode was on Iceland, and he showed all, cooking eggs in the ash and the lava, and visiting all the spas. It certainly, for those that didn't know Iceland, it was a great introduction.
It really, really was. He both went through those things, and also the new things that we're doing with harnessing what's it called, carbfix or carbohydrates back into the earth. So we are also, we're trying to be even more sustainable with all the energy that we have. So we're and I agree, it was a very good show. So if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. It was the first one, so I absolutely recommend it.
I'll put the link in when we send the recording to everyone, because it's definitely worth watching. We had a question from Laura, or a comment. Westman Island is where she saw the puffins when she was there, and it was weird to see the houses under the lava and the museum there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, just there are over 100 public pools in Iceland. You will, if there are 3 houses standing somewhere called a village, you will probably also find a swimming pool. I recommend, swimming pool hopping. But as I say, the swimming pool culture has clearly established itself, and only in the greater capital area we have over 18 public swimming pools, most of which are outdoors and of course geothermally heated. Now this luxury of geothermal heated water has now also been utilized to increase the degree lately in the luxury spa setting. The most famous, as we mentioned before, is the Blue Lagoon, which is located in Reykjavik's Peninsula, not far away from Reykjavik. And as unlikely as it may sound, Reykjavik has its own geothermal beach with white sands and warm ocean water, assisted by a little geothermal injection. Now, geothermal spas and baths can be found in every region. Some are naturally hot sea waters, others natural hot spots in a lake, others are beer spas, and then some are natural hot springs close to volcanic areas. Now, we are also blessed with this abundance of fresh water, the clean nature, and the fertile fishing grounds. And geothermal energy again makes it possible to supply a year-round offering of fresh vegetables grown locally in our greenhouses. We have been renowned for culinary scenery, where you can enjoy a lovely meal from the fresh ingredients we're so lucky to have. As I said, be it fish from our fishing grounds, fresh vegetables from the local greenhouses, or lamb that has roamed around free in the countryside. Now, the Aurora Borealis, as many of you might know them, takes the name from the Roman goddess of dawn, Aurora, and the Greek name for the north wind, Boreas. Between September and April, Iceland is a hotspot for this magnificent light show. Even though they're more commonly referred to as the Northern Lights, is a natural phenomenon created when solar particles interact with the atmosphere in the Earth magnetic field. There you go. Now, as you might know, of course, this depends on many things, but on clear winter nights, we do have organized sightseeing trips to see the Northern Lights. I also would like to mention there is in the Reykjavik Peninsula, the Aurora Camp is where they actually do or tell you exactly the history of the auroras and how to see them, where to look. So if you come to Iceland, I suggest that you visit the Aurora Camp, and they also produce Northern Lights, something that is a must-see. Now, where are we? Yes, so we're a sustainable destination, as I've already mentioned, and we want to ensure sustainable growth in Icelandic tourism in all regions, and we want to be driven by quality and professionalism. And this is what we think is a very important message to send out there, that all of us working in tourism have this as our guiding light. And we want to inform visitors about Iceland's fragile nature and considerate travel behavior. And we've done that through various ways. And I want to show you our Icelandic Pledge, which you can actually, if you come to Iceland, you can pledge online to be a responsible tourist, to explore new places and leave them as you found them, and take photos to die for without dying for them. You know, be prepared for all weathers, all possibilities, and all adventures. So, you know, this is from us to encourage people to enjoy and bring back memories and not leave footprints on nature. Now, sorry, some small information about Iceland. Most of us speak fluent English, and we thank the Gulf Stream that it isn't as cold as it sounds in Iceland. We have moderate year-round temperature. We are exceptionally friendly and eager to assist, highly educated and sophisticated, with a great sense of humor, even though it might be a bit dark from time to time. Which is true. We have topped the Global Peace Index since 2011, naming us the world's most peaceful country. And what we are also so very proud of is for 11 years, Iceland is the top country in the world for gender parity. So just a few insights. Now, this is something we also need to talk about, a few details on border restrictions as they are today. Of course, this can change. The Icelandic borders are open to all fully vaccinated travelers. Doesn't matter where they are from, they just need to present an approved vaccination certificate. And information on what vaccinations are accepted in Iceland can be found on our COVID page, which you can see there. But we have those, you know, the normal ones, the Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and AstraZeneca. So those are, you know, the most common ones. You can also, if you have a certificate of a previous infection, that is also valid to enter the country. We ask that the certificate is well, 14 days must have passed from second dose or only dose with Johnson & Johnson for the certificate to become valid. And travelers that are fully vaccinated do not have to present a negative PCR test. So you don't have to take a PCR test before boarding the airplane. It's only if that is a requirement from the airline that you fly with. But for example, with Iceland Air and Delta and United Airlines, then, for example, they have not asked people to present a PCR test before boarding because they know that we don't require it. At the moment, and this is applicable until July 1st, we ask people to undergo one test at the borders upon arrival. and follow quarantine rules until test results arrive in 6 to 24 hours. This is applicable to children as well. This will be reviewed and hopefully will cease to exist on July 1st. But of course, things can change. So I don't want to say, that this is certain, but we think these measures are also, those are both for science. So we know how the virus is actually working when it comes to vaccinate, how it's interacting with vaccinated travelers, and and up until now, I don't think there are very, very few who are vaccinated who actually have carried the virus. So yeah, that seems to be working very well. We're doing very well on vaccination in Iceland also. We have over 56% fully vaccinated and around 28% with first dose of vaccination. So we're doing very well. I'm fully vaccinated. I got the Johnson & Johnson. I'm very happy about it.
One and done.
Yeah, done and done. And so yes, and we've been very, throughout this time, we have put a lot of emphasis on tracing and tracking, and we've traced almost every case that has come up in Iceland. We put everybody into quarantine around the person that has the infection, so we've been able to keep the numbers low throughout this almost year and a half. So we're more than open, or more than happy now to welcome back travelers to Iceland. And we can actually say, social distancing comes naturally in Iceland. But the restrictions within the country are 1 meter if you don't have a personal relation with the person, and gathering can now actually 300 persons can come together at this point.
300. Wow. Oh, you're ahead of us.
I think we're going to see the numbers go up again. Come, hold on, when was it? Is it next week or the week after?
Yeah.
So,
well, I mentioned at the beginning of the call that most of the folks on the call are from Canada. We have a few from the States as well, but Canada, of course, we're a little bit ahead of you with first vaccines. We're at just over 75% now with 12 and above, and we're about 22% for the second vaccine. So we're starting to close that gap. But we've just had a opening up. Well, for Canadians traveling, as I mentioned to you at the beginning, Oddný, we had a requirement to self-quarantine, well, in a government hotel for the first 3 days and then up to 14 days after. So we're just starting, we just had that lifted yesterday. It's going to be July 5th. So we're just seeing more optimism from Canadians, especially those that have had the second shot.
Yeah. I mean, this is, of course, even though, as I said, even though we opened up for countries outside of the Schengen area or the European Union and Schengen area on April 6th, of course, people were not jumping on planes because the requirements on return were also making travel, more difficult. But I'm very, very glad to hear about, Canada.
We had a slow start. March and April were brutal, but we've really come on strong in May and June.
I'm glad to hear it.
We just had a question from Bridget. Can you drive through all the region? And how long would you recommend to stay in Iceland?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can. You can drive through all the regions, except the Highlands. I didn't talk about the Highlands for a reason, but I can explain the Highlands a bit. The Highlands, for example, of Iceland are only open usually July, August, more or less, because of snow or just road conditions. And those are only accessible with four-wheel drives. So that's, but the regions, there is one ring road, the main road, that goes around the island, and then for the West Piers it is the second ring road. If you just drive around the island, I recommend 8 to 10 days. 10 days, and then you will be able to just drive and enjoy the scenery. 8 days, and you might have to drive a bit more every day, and stop a bit less. If you include the West Piers, I would suggest 2 weeks.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Do you have more slides, or have we pretty much gone through your presentation? Oh, okay. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine. The last one is just thank you.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're almost there. I kind of thought when you did the border comments that we were through it. I had another question from Nick, and then we can. Such a beautiful picture, though. I don't necessarily want to turn it off. But we could stop sharing and bring everybody's faces back on. Manik asks a question of maybe doing a cruise, whether that's a good idea. I know I personally have booked people on circumnavigation of Iceland cruises, but what's your take?
Yes, I mean, cruise to Iceland, absolutely. And I know, there are cruises also that, or more of expeditions that, go Iceland, Greenland, a bit Arctic.
Right.
So absolutely. And then there are also, there's at least 1 or 2 companies in Iceland that offer the ring road, but on a cruise. So yeah, absolutely. Something, that is possible to do.
Yeah, for my clients, I've booked like Lindblad Expeditions does a great circumnavigation, Ponant as well. And then if you're going to do something that goes over into Greenland, maybe Lindblad or Cork also does touches down in Iceland. But there are the bigger ships too that you can have an experience. We had a question, Laura. Do you want to come on and ask your question? Or you want me to read it?
I didn't have any question.
Oh, maybe it was comment. Sorry.
Yeah, just more of a comment. Yeah, I was there for 7 days. I just stayed in Reykjavik the whole time and did day trips over to Westman Island, to the Golden Triangle and that sort of thing. But yeah, 7 days wasn't even enough time. I only got to do that small area. I didn't get north, east, or west. So you need more time. I wish I had like 2 more weeks.
That's awesome.
And I even did a day trip over to Greenland. Like that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have the airline goes over. You can go over for the day.
Is that common to go for the day?
Absolutely, because our domestic airline, which is now actually, they just named it Icelandair to make everything a bit easier for us. So we had the Icelandair, internationally and domestically, and they offer day trips to Kulusuk, for example, and you can also fly to Nuuk and take the helicopter ride up to. I am not going to try to pronounce that name, Kongolesisak, or yeah. So there are many options actually with both day tours and a few day tours to Greenland as well. Greenland is only accessible from Iceland or Denmark, from Copenhagen. So.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I watched a news show last night, Rachel Maddow, and the first segment was all about the lady who said she was buying WOW Air and then going to merge it with Icelandair. It was quite a controversy. So if anybody's interested in that, I can find the link and send you. She
Ballerine, her name is, right?
Michelle something. Yeah, apparently Ballerine. She goes by 3 or 4 different surnames, but it was quite the controversy. I didn't recall all of that happening in 2019.
No. Yeah, 2019 was an interesting year when it came to airlines.
Yeah, and we thought it was interesting, and then of course we hit 2020 and everything changed.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for Oddný while we have her and taking her away from her 3-year-old? Thank you again for being so accommodating. Oh, Laura's showing us a shirt. What's it say? I can't quite.
Yeah, exactly. Oddný has to pronounce it.
Don't you understand? Yeah, but
that's the volcano, that nobody can pronounce.
When I was in 2010, when the eruption happened, I was actually living in Costa Rica, and it was quite funny to watch the news from your home country, and nobody could actually pronounce, the names. And it was a laughing stock in my school as well. And they actually then used it as a case study, what do you have to do to evacuate the whole country if there's a volcanic eruption, which we did not have to do, just to be clear. And the funny thing was that even though all the airports were closed, the only one open was actually in Iceland.
Yes, that's right. Everything else in Europe and Africa was closed. Oh my goodness, that was not a good time to be a travel advisor, I can tell you that.
Yeah,
But then again, it pales in comparison to 2020.
Again, yes.
Everything's relative, right? But yeah, that was incredible. I mean, the airspace shut down everywhere. So, and how is that volcano? Were there rumblings again recently?
Yes. So we had it was a turbulence a bit in Reykjavik and Reykjanes in February and March, and there were several earthquakes a day, which is unusual to feel in Reykjavik, in the capital area, but we were getting quite used to it. And then on a Friday, I can't remember, it was the 11th or the 18th of March, it started erupting, and this was a volcano. It's maybe just, if you take it, a direct line, it's 15 minutes from the Blue Lagoon, but it's in a valley between, mountains, and it started erupting and hasn't stopped.
Wow.
And at one point there were 9 fissures open in that valley. I've been there 2 times to see it. Very different both times. But this is a very different one. This is a lava eruption. This is a magma. This is not a magma. So this was the Eyjafjallajökull was under a glacier, which brings more ash and more kind of, because it has to go through all the the snow and the glacier. Then it brings, it's more ash, it's more power. This one is just, there's a beautiful lava waterfall.
Wow.
Coming from it, and you can actually watch it live. I'll send you the link in the chat.
Thank you. I think Laura just said, is it called Hago?
No.
It's Hengit. No.
Okay.
Hago's just a guy that had a camera and happened to be there, but Hago's tours all over the world.
Oh, okay.
I saw it live with that guy. He just basically, it's like you're there because he's filming it, and it's erupting and it's spouting and it's settles down and then it lavas, and then it's like it's amazing. It's hypnotizing just watching it.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely, it's amazing. It seems to be quite calm now, but it's also because now you don't see it as well as you did before, and that is mainly due to now the lava flow has been so extreme coming from this one, that the lava river has actually almost reached the second street that goes around the Reykjanes Peninsula. So it's the main street that goes to the airport. That is absolutely fine, but it's actually going down to the other side, which is kind of the second escape route from the Reykjanes Peninsula. It's not affecting any infrastructure or towns at the moment, but and it's easy actually to go now and see the lava flow. But you cannot reach the volcano as you did before, because the lava, there's so much of it now. But I understand that it is no less extraordinary to go and see the lava river actually just almost passing you by.
And that's what Andrew was just asking. You can actually visit the current active volcano. You can get Okay.
It's easy, and we have a rescue squad is there all the time to help people and assist with questions or safety, and they're measuring if there's too much gas pollution. They have to close the area, so I think it's one of the safest. We call it a tourism or touristy eruption in that sense, because people can actually go and see it.
So the best time to visit, I mean, it depends what you're coming to see, right? Because if you're coming to see the Northern Lights, you want to come when it's the darkest.
Well, no, not really. You want to come somewhere between September and April. You know, even though in September it is, you know, the darkest months, but it's often very lively when it comes to the Northern Lights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, September, October can be very lively. It mostly depends on clouds, you know, and solar activity. So
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay.
but Iceland is, you know, kind of two destinations, the winter destination and the summer destination. Very different, but equally magnificent. As you say, it depends a bit what you're looking for, what you want to see.
How bright is it there now where you are in Reykjavik?
And I'm gonna take off the, if I take off the, and I'll show you my home.
Oh, sure. The virtual background there. Because it's what? It's almost 10 o'clock where you are. Wow. 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. So it's like, it's actually just, you know, there's, did you see that? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. Thank you.
Sure. So it's actually just it's daytime. It hasn't changed since noon today.
Do you have blackout screens to be able to sleep and blackout blinds and yeah? It must be hard with a 3-year-old. They want to go outside and play.
Yeah. Yeah. And my he's kind of like, you know, I love the summer nights because, you know, the whole neighborhood is just, you know, kids on trampolines in the garden. You know, it's and nobody wants to go to sleep anyway. So it's fine.
There you go. Laura's saying it's not far from the city and people sit on the hill to watch the left. Oh, you mean the eruption, Laura? And she watched the Northern Lights in September. Yeah, I most other places say, you know, when it like especially the companies that do Northern Light tours, they don't even tend to run until November. So that's interesting that it's quite active in September.
Mm-hmm.
And the flights to Greenland, Laura's saying, are only in the summer, and puffins in the summer. Yeah. Kathy and I are both from Newfoundland, and the puffin is the Newfoundland bird as well. So it's nice to share. Yeah, it's nice to share that with Iceland.
Yeah.
Do you see puffins very much, Kathy, in St. John's? I guess not. You got to go out on
the Babels, down to Babels.
You got to go to Babels, yeah, out on the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? We're just at 6. If anybody has another question before I let Oddný go. Bridget, did you have a question? Oh, okay. You were just playing. I wasn't sure if you were trying to unmute yourself to ask. Okay, well, Oddný, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for disrupting your family night there with your child to do this presentation for us. We really appreciated your time and your insight. And
thank you.
It's certainly understandable why Iceland is so popular. And is it one quick question? Is it very expensive to go out to eat? I think it is, right? Compared to
well, no. The thing is, it is a good question. Here you have variety of, you know, when it comes to prices and going out for restaurants. Yes, I mean, a good meal. Hold on, I now need to do the converting thing because I'm not good at this. So, you know, for 2 persons, when me and my husband, we go out, you know, with maybe a couple of glasses of wine, it's about 150 Canadian dollars.
Okay, well, that's pretty comparable. Would that be a nice restaurant, or would it be?
Yeah, that would be a nice restaurant.
A nice,
so,
okay.
150 to 180 Canadian dollars. And the thing is, now I'm talking about like good quality food.
Right, right. A nice spot, not a Roadhouse or a McDonald's or whatever.
Well, we don't have McDonald's. Did you know that?
That's right. I think the only chain you have is like Subway or something. Is that right?
We have both Kentucky Fried and, you know, KFC and Subway. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Keep the others out as long as you can.
Well, McDonald's was here, but they closed.
Oh Well, there you go. It's kind of like Starbucks in Australia. They tried to open Starbucks and the Australians are like, nah.
No, it's the same here. We have such good hamburgers. We don't need the other one.
Yeah, we have our own standards. Thank you very much. Well, thank you so much. It was a joy to chat with you and learn about Iceland. We really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for being with me tonight.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
I'll send the recording. Thank you.
Thank you.